Okay, you're given a piecewise function. One rule is f of x equals 3x minus 2 when x is less than -1. And it's this parabola when x is greater than -1. Note that piecewise function is not defined when x equals -1. So if we tried to find f of -1, we'd get it undefined. And you're asked to find a formula for f of -1 plus h when h is less than 0 and when h is greater than 0. Let's go to board 2 and just see what's happening. Here's a graph of the piecewise function on Desmos. And you can see that f of -1 is undefined. When h is less than 0, some negative number, then -1 plus h is less than -1. Because we're starting at -1 and adding on another negative number. And that means when we find f of -1 plus h, we will be using this rule, because this parameter to the piecewise function is less than -1. So we use this rule. That means we put -1 plus h in for that x, and there's what that shows. We get -6.2. If I move h to greater than 0, like I did over here, then -1 plus h will be greater than -1, maybe just a little bit bigger. So if we want to find f of -1 plus h, I put -1 plus h into the second rule. There it is. Now let's see what the formulas look like. So there's the piecewise function. When h is less than 0, then -1 plus h is less than -1. So if I want to find f of -1 plus h, I plug -1 plus h into this rule right here. So there it is. And if I want to simplify that, I can distribute the 3. -3 plus 3h minus 2. Combine the two constants. There's your formula when h is less than 0. When h is greater than 0, then -1 plus h is greater than -1 because I added a positive number onto -1. So I'm greater than -1. That means to find f of -1 plus h, I plug -1 plus h into this rule. A little more complicated. So here's 3, here's x squared, or -1 plus h, quantity squared. Here's -1 plus h in for this x. There's the constant term. We have to square this binomial, square the first term, double the product of the two terms, square the second term. That's how you square a binomial. Distribute this 2, distribute this 3, and then combine similar terms. And there's your formula for f of -1 plus h in terms of h. And this is the formula when h is greater than 0. And this little table kind of confirms it. This is the same as this, -4.1. And this is the same as the formula we got when we simplified. There you go. Hope that helped. If you have any questions, post a comment.